I think the hope that it's going to please the audience that have been anticipating it. For us as a group, it was just a miracle that we got here, and a thrill that we got here, and it's a testament to the team behind the show that they were tenacious enough to keep going until we all got together and we all jumped in together. So it's, the biggest thrill is tonight. Actually, is just knowing that we've finally done it. I think, well, I can only tell you my own experience of watching it a couple of weeks ago was to go in and to feel all the horrible stuff that's going on around us in this country and around the world just leave you for a couple of hours. So pure escapism, fun, characters you care about, and a ripping good yarn. Gosh, I wish I knew the answer to that. I suspect it's something to do with characters that one wants to spend time with, and a world that is just out of our reach, but not so historical that it seems like ancient history, and stories that we can all, just latch onto. And it looks beautiful.
Seeing the family again, I mean, that's what it feels like. We're like this big family now. So getting all back together those first few days of filming was amazing, and it feels like a real celebration bringing it to the big screen, and it feels like a real privilege, to be part of something for 7 years, and then to finally bring it to the big screen feels like, an enormous thing. So it's wonderful. It's extremely entertaining. It has all of their beloved characters in the story, everybody that they love. It's all turned up a notch. It's a slightly grander note, the whole thing, of course, because it's the royal visit, and of course it's for the big screen. And I think it will provide escapism for people. Well, there are many ingredients. I think firstly, the story and the characters that Julian created. I think first and foremost it comes down to the writing, and I think the design, the set design, the costumes, the nostalgia of that time. I mean, there are so many reasons, but I think there's something about these characters that are very, very relatable to people. There's something about people trying to be good and do right, whatever they're trying to do, and I think people really relate to that somehow.
It was truly a reunion to see them again, but it was like I kind of never stopped seeing them. It was very easy to slide right back in to our dynamic that we had before. I think that it was our ambition to give the fans what they want, so it's all their favorite characters viewed again through a very loving cinematic lens. All the characters say all the things that people love hearing them say, and the stories are played out in the way that the fans love to see them play out, and that's as much as I can tell you because I haven't seen it myself. I'm going to see it for the first time tonight. I wanted to be wearing diamonds before I saw it. It was a combination of a world people wanted to escape into at this juncture in time for whatever reason, characters that they could get behind, and great stories.
Well, I think one wanted to try and make it undisappointing to fans of the television, but at the same time sufficiently cinematic to fill the big screen. That was really the kind of double we were working for. And also series writing is quite different to writing a film. It's completely differently structured, because everything has to be complete within a movie, which of course it doesn't in an episode. So, all of that. But I mean, it was fun. I enjoyed it. The whole thing's been fun. Well, in a way, there was something almost surreal about reassembling at HAIG. There we all were. I mean, I started writing this show 10 years ago, which in our business is a very long time. Normally something lasts a few months and then that's it, it's finished. So it was quite strange. I mean, we've gone 15 years in the show, but we've gone 10 in real life. So the difference is not great, really. Well, I think a bigger, bolder, brighter version of Downton, but I hope it's undisappointing. That's what I've aimed at. and you know, I'm pleased with it, so I hope they will be.
Well, I mean, it was like getting back together with your family, really, and having a big old party and celebration and remembering how much we loved making the show and how much it still means to people. And yeah, it was great fun. Well, I think it's, you know, for the fans of the show, it's characters that you already know and love. Seeing them in a very fun scenario of having the King and Queen come to stay at Downton. And yeah, for those who don't know the show, I think it will still resonate, it will still work. You'll get to know these lovable characters very quickly, I think. I think Julian, as we know, is the genius, and there he goes. But yeah, I think if we knew what he did to create it, everyone would try and copy it and bottle it, because it's been a magical alchemy of bringing everyone together. But yeah, I think it's a big gang of great actors, hopefully, and everyone, you can pick the character that you like the best, really, with a big ensemble like ours.
Well, you know, the visual part of it was very natural because Downton is always a little bit larger than life, so having the scale, I think, just helped it. It was a very natural transition. I think the most difficult part of it was making it feel like its own piece from beginning to end, that it wasn't just one episode, that it felt like a complete story. Well, I think there's a spirit in it of kind of community, both in the making of it and in the story of it, of people who, from very different backgrounds, different socioeconomic status, feel like they're all part of something that's connected, in which they're invested in each other. I think they can expect everything they've come to love, and a little bit more of a twinkle, a little bit more majesty, a little bit more pageantry, but all the things they love, just in a way in which all the characters are working together.
I'll be honest with you, I didn't read the entire script. I have one scene and I wanted to save it for tonight, so we'll see what's in store. I think it'll be good.
I have just joined this. I am on the outskirts, if you like, of the main event. But I think and I hope that the fans will get exactly what they want from this film. They've been waiting a long time. I think you've got the fantasy world, if you like, of the rich people and the workers down below. But historically he gives great storytelling, but also gives a human story to all the everyone who's dressed up and having these dinner scenes. But there's sometimes something a bit edgy going on, and I think that's what makes it different.
Let's say that I'm a butler from another camp who invades the sanctity of downstairs. I think it's irresistible, the world of upstairs and downstairs, the overlap and collisions between those two worlds, and the relationships between everybody who works there.
I play Queen Mary, her the wife of King George V, and they pay an unexpected visit to Downton Abbey, and much to the alarm of the family, who have to prepare, which is quite an undertaking. Julian and the whole production has matched it up to a big screen. I mean, the story is sort of fuller, bigger.
What they apparently did in those days was when they decided to visit a stately home, they would send the invitation, a sort of reverse invitation. The King and Queen will be coming to stay, which must have been a nightmare for the people who owned the house. And it's rather wonderful to be transported to a lifestyle that we'd all rather like to have enjoyed ourselves. And if we can't, then at least we can enjoy it by watching other people do it.
Lucy She comes as part of the royal party, so she's a lady's maid to Lady BAGSHAW, and I think she's at a period in her life where she's quite unsure of where she fits in and who she is, and I think the kind of nature of being a lady's maid is that you are slightly between the two worlds, you can drift between them, and so she meets someone at Downton who kind of helps her find her way. Downton, when it was a TV series, was kind of beautiful enough and epic enough, but I think that it's just gone that extra level in terms of being cinematic. The location looks completely beautiful.
I think what they're going to love is that they get to see all of their favourite characters that they've enjoyed throughout the decade of Downton, and now today it all comes together in one gorgeous, fantastically, cleverly put together storytelling, and everyone gets to shine. It's lovely. And I enjoyed it as a fan for years and years when I was in my late teens, in my 20s, and you feel like you become part of the family too. So it's for me as an actor stepping onto set, it felt like it was a real pinch me moment.
I think it's because the fans really wanted it. I mean, every time we did an interview about anything, something else that we were doing, it always ended up at the end of the interview saying, is there going to be a Downton movie? Will there be another series? Will there be a movie? And everyone we met in the street always said, is there going to be a film? Is there going to be a film? So there was obviously the excitement and the demand there. So to be able to do the film, and hopefully the fans will love it, and they've been so loyal and they've enjoyed the TV series so much, it's nice. You know, it's a good present for them. Well, the TV series was cinematic anyway, and there was always a big, lush, expensive feeling to it with the costumes and the design, the big house, the countryside, the balls, the castles. So Downton translates very well to the big screen, and this is just blown even larger, really. So I think they'll just settle down, and when they hear that theme music playing, they'll go, "Oh, lovely, here we are." It trades on nostalgia, a fond look back at the past. It trades on romance. It's on cynical. It's about people falling in love, from Daisy the maid. Maggie Smith even nearly had a fling with a Russian prince, didn't she? So it's about people looking for happiness and doing their best, both upstairs and downstairs. And I think it's the equal focus on upstairs and downstairs that works so well.
It's really unusual as British actors to sort of, unless you're in a soap opera, to spend this much time together. 6 years. And so, and when you marry that with the extraordinary success that the show had, it meant that we sort of formed this very particular relationship with each other. We all shared that experience. There's something about seeing that location, Highclere Castle, Downton Abbey, on the big screen, and with those extraordinary costumes and a wonderful, wonderful story. It's a kind of a regal story, and it sort of seems fitting to have that on a big screen.
He's kind of grown into his role, and I felt like I was conscious about playing him a bit more settled, because when we first see him, he's very sort of nervous and like fresh-faced and bushy-tailed, and a bit of time's moved on, so he's kind of settled in.
Loads of fantastic looking cinematic epic shots, romance, drama, pathos, humour, just a classic Downton Abbey thing. I think the world's got a fascination with the British royal family. I think that's well documented, and Downton is an extension of that kind of life. So I think that's huge. And then if you throw in an Oscar-winning screenwriter in Julian Fellowes and a double Oscar winner in Dame Maggie Smith, I don't think you can't go far wrong.
I think the biggest joy actually for me has been getting to work with these people again on a show that is so loved around the world, and the fact that people want to see it. And there seems to be such an appetite. So the idea of getting Downton, making it bigger, making it better, making it bolder, and putting it on the big screen. Yeah, I think all of it is just exciting, yeah. I think they can expect all the characters that they loved in a situation that they've never seen on a much bigger scale. And that's what we wanted. We wanted Julian to produce a script that gave us that, and he certainly has. And as someone said earlier, it's like getting a massive hug off an old friend. So I hope they get that too. I think it's the fact that within the house, the hierarchy that exists doesn't exist in the storytelling, so you know as much about the footman as you do about the lord of the manor. And I think that's Julian's gift, the fact that he gives you all of these characters, not just one or two.
I think it's just a whole assortment of Julian's writing, wonderful characters, the castle being one of them. The castle's stunning, and that sort of keeps everybody focused in on that. And he writes great stories, great characters. You can relate, everybody can relate to one of the characters.
It's been such a joy getting back together, getting the gang back together, and just that thing of getting to revisit a character that you thought you'd sort of finished with. I think that's such an honour, and you don't really get to do that very often. It's bigger, it's more grand, it's a bigger scale. It's the set pieces are bigger and better. It's beautiful.
Well, they've been talking about it all these years, every year, all the time. I always felt in my bones it would probably happen. That's probably because I'm a bit of an optimist, really. I had nothing to back this up. So eventually it was just like, thank goodness we've done it. You know, I mean, I knew it was hard to get everybody, but they did it. So it was a feeling of joy, really, and it just didn't go on long enough for me. That's the truth. The music doesn't disappoint. It made me cry when it started because I got a bit overwhelmed with it because it's a big chunk of my life, obviously, but it's very dramatic. It's very cinematic, it always was. But on a big screen, it's pretty impressive, I think.
This is on a huge vista, much bigger than the individual episodes were. So I suppose it's partly that. It's partly the inclusion of some fantastic scenes. I won't give them away, but there are some really wonderful scenes in this, which are probably too big to get into a series. They can expect quite a modern storyline, despite the fact that we ended on New Year's Eve 1926. And they can expect a lot of horses.
I think our perennial interest in families and how they work and the machinations of things, a mixture of joy, happiness, drama, laugh out loud comedy, romance, all of these things together, and then a group of people who are not always rooting for each other but are essentially positive, a happy ending, hopefully, a positive place, even when in Downton bad things will happen, but hopefully you end up with ultimately a positive message about life, and let's face it, that's something we all need right now.
I think the biggest challenge is twofold. It was actually bringing the essence of Downton so that it was familiar enough, but also making it bigger and raising a bar that I think we had set very high anyway, and saying it's worth you coming and buying tickets and coming to the movie to see it. I hope that a lot of humour, some tears, a roller coaster of emotions, and a lot of fun with their friends.
Hey, it's Lisa. Now, the Emmys are pretty much the Oscars for television. Winning an Emmy is the biggest award an actor can win for their work on the small screen. Here are the top 3 winners. At number 3, Mary Tyler Moore with 7 wins and 15 nominations. At number 2, Cloris Leachman with 8 wins and 22 nominations. And coming in at number 1 is Julia Louis-Dreyfus with 11 wins and 24 nominations. Now, do you like my t-shirt? You can get one for yourself and the link in the description.